Selmond is suing his former friend, Elena Smith, for an unpaid car loan given to Elena after her release from prison.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2166, Hammond versus Smith.
Thank you. Mr. Salmon, the long and short of this case is you met the defendant on some sort of a website. She was in prison at the time. You began to see her. She got out of prison. You gave her a certain amount of money that you consider gifts to her, but then she asked you if she could borrow money to buy a car. You gave her $2,600 with the expectation of being repaid, and this is your lawsuit, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And your answer to him said, well, it was never really anticipated that I would give him back his money, only I said I would give him back if I got my stimulus money. I didn't get my stimulus money, so I'm not paying him back. That's what the case is about. Simple. So let me get a couple of pieces of information from you. From when to when were you in prison?
January of 2019 until June of 2022.
For what?
Several things. I did any thefts and stolen firearms.
And?
That was it.
Was there one indictment or more than one indictment?
One federal indictment and 23 counts for state.
Which state?
Washington.
Was it the first time you were in prison?
Yes.
Did anybody else go into prison as a result of the same case?
No.
At what point during your stay in prison did you begin to communicate with Mr. Salmond?
Somebody had put me on a prison pen pal website, which I wasn't aware of until I got a message from him. I took myself off the site. That site's usually for people to get things from people, money in their books, packages. So we started talking, but...
When? Give me a month and year.
It was in April of 2019.
So right away?
Yeah, about a few months after.
Right away. And you were in jail, so you clearly stayed in touch with him.
Yeah.
How often did you stay in touch with him?
We corresponded maybe initially once every couple of months.
And then?
And then I was taken from prison to Spokane in November of 2020 for a federal indictment. I was gone 6 months.
To serve time on a federal indictment?
Not to serve time, but to be indicted and sentenced.
And were you?
I was.
To what?
6 months.
In the same prison?
No.
Different prison?
Yeah, I was supposed to go after my state to go do my federal time.
Now, the government started to send out these stimulus checks, which, in my mind, and maybe I'm wrong, were given to people who were suffering through the pandemic because they couldn't work, they couldn't feed themselves, they needed money to exist. And that's why the money was given out. I mean, I recall the letter that came with the stimulus money. It seemed to me, Ms. Smith, so I'm going to ask you, because I read your answer, which I found interesting. And you said that while you were in prison and communicating with him, several of your stimulus checks came. Where did they come?
They were going to be sent to his house.
Why were they going to be sent to his house?
Because inmates were having their stimulus checks sent to the facility. The facility takes 75% of it.
Now, so I knew this would get more interesting, and I have to sort of put it in my timeline. So you had to apply for the stimulus checks.
Correct.
And all the inmates filled out a form for the stimulus checks. Mm-hmm. The other inmates filled out forms which said that they wanted the stimulus checks, gave them their social security number and an address.
Correct.
And you put his address on your stimulus check.
Actually, he filed it for me.
Whoever, he put his address. Was it at your direction that he filled it out for you? Or did he just do it himself? I mean, I'm up to a casual...
Yeah, he filed online for me.
Because you asked him to?
Yes.
And because he used his address, while the government was taking 75% of those stimulus checks and taking it for your upkeep in prison, because there's a certain amount of upkeep. You have meals, you have doctor services, whatever you have. They took 75, leaving you 25%, I suppose, to put on your account in the canteen or to do whatever you want. Is that close?
Yes.
How many checks did you see?
None.
Because according to you, they went to his house, and since he couldn't find you, because you had been transferred to one prison or another, what did you do with the checks and how many did you get?
I believe I got 2 checks, and then they just all expired. You know, I never deposited them or anything.
Do you have them?
No, ma'am.
Where are they?
One of them I sent back.
And where's the other one?
Let's throw it away. Is it?
When did they send it, in 2020 or 2021?
I believe it's 21.
Your Honor, it was 2020.
Okay. But you never cashed any of them?
No, ma'am.
Good thing. Very good thing. No rhyme or reason to giving out stimulus money to people who are already being taken care of by the state, but the federal government, I know, was printing money like it was Mardi Gras, and sending money to prisoners is dubious thing. Sarah, you looked up some figures for me on, because I was curious about this case. How much money Kevin and I spent on sending money to prisoners, especially those who were in long-term, like lifers or whatever. She wasn't, but she got stimulus checks, 2 of them sent to him.
So there were over 1.1 million COVID stimulus checks, totaling over 1.3 billion sent out to incarcerated people across the United States throughout COVID. And out of those numbers, according to the letter from the IRS, some 163,000 recipients were serving life sentences who received the stimulus checks. But that's throughout the U.S., not just in Washington
not just the state of
or Texas.
Washington. I got it. Okay. I don't know one guy that cold turkey goes on a prison website to get a pen pal. But the people that do that are sort of the same people that have themselves shot out of a cannon, a little bit crazy, a little bit.
Stuart Selmond claims his former friend, Elena Smith, owes for a car loan he gave her after she was released from prison.
Then, Miss Smith, there comes a time when you get out of jail.
Correct.
During the time that you were in jail, once you reconnected with him, did he send you any money?
That's when he started. He never had before. I never asked, but when
you reconnected?
Yes, because I had lost my job being
Oh,
gone
so you
for
got
court.
out?
No, I had a job in the prison.
Okay.
But I was gone for 6 months for court, so when I got back, I lost that job. So that was the first time I asked him for help. But again, my stimulus checks were supposed to be at his house, so
But they were
I didn't know
his-
that yet.
Okay.
So
Well, you asked him to fill out the form. Why did you agree to fill out the form with your address on the stimulus checks?
She said she had no one else to send them to.
Okay. Mr. Salomon, do you work?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you work for?
I work at the hospital in Tyler.
What do you do?
I'm a nurse.
Now, Mr. Salmon, why wouldn't you ask Ms. Smith, hey, why do you want them at my house? I can't cash them. Why not just send them to the prison? Did she tell you?
No, ma'am.
Did you ask her?
No, ma'am.
All right, so he's not asking for any of that money back. He's asking for the $2,600 for the car that you wanted when you came out of prison. When you came out of prison, you lived independently.
I was in transitional housing.
And tell me how it came about that you asked him for money for a car.
He came and picked me up from prison, bought me a phone.
Okay, he picked you up. That was nice.
Yeah.
Anybody else pick you up?
No.
Who was that?
This is my best friend of 18 years.
Okay, did she pick you up?
No.
So he picked you up?
Yeah.
Okay, and what else did he do? He bought you a phone.
He bought me a phone.
He's not asking for that back. He bought you a phone as a gift, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Yes, he bought you a phone so that you would be connected to the world.
Correct.
What's next?
Then he started cash apping me money
He
that
did.
I didn't ask for.
How much?
I have it all right here. The first one was June 13th for $50, June 14th for $50. This is prior to the car money.
So you said you needed some cash and
I never said I needed it. He just was doing it.
okay, and he's not asking for any of that money back.
Right.
Now tell me about the car.
So I got a job offer, but I didn't have a vehicle. So he had been helping me out for a while.
Okay, so he's helping you.
So I asked him for money to get a car. This first stimulus check that he sent back, I wasn't getting, but the third one, I had to file a tax return in order to get that, which was only $1,400.
Oh, just a second. I don't care about your stimulus money. I don't want to
That was
buy
how I
you
was
a
supposed to
car.
pay him back.
I don't want to buy you a car.
But he bought me a car.
No,
with
no, no.
My stimulus money I was supposed
No.
to give him for only $1,400.
No. You have to understand something. You have no proof, and I actually believe him when I say he didn't cash your stimulus checks.
Yeah,
He
no.
returned them. You don't even think that he cashed them because
No.
that would have been a federal offense and he would have gone
Yeah,
to jail.
I didn't.
And you didn't want to go to jail, right?
No, ma'am.
And truth of the matter is, stimulus money is, in my view, not for anything other than try to keeping everything in balance while there was COVID. You got out of jail. Owning a car is sort of a luxury. You have to have a car, you have to have insurance, you have to be able to keep it up. That's not what stimulus money was for. So let's go back. He didn't collect any of your money. He was nice enough to put in $50 here, $60 there, gave you a phone so you would be connected. Now you tell him that you need money for a car. On what date do you tell him you need money for a car?
On June 15th.
And he gave you $2,600.
Correct.
And that was in June of 2022.
Correct.
Now, I'd like to see the emails following up when he's asking you for repayment of that $2,600. Do you have any?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it. Where is the car now?
It was totaled. It was a recent car accident.
When?
December 2nd.
Who was driving it?
I was driving it.
Did you have insurance on it?
Yes.
Did you hit another car and the other car hit you?
The other car pulled out in front of me and I hit them. They were at fault.
The insurance payout on the claim? To whom?
To myself.
How much?
Just for the damage of the car, it was $3,200.
So what did you do with the money?
I bought a new vehicle.
What kind did you get?
2008 Pontiac G6.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $2,700.
So if you gave him back his $2,600, you still would have had a down payment enough for that car.
I paid cash on this vehicle.
I know what you did, but if you had done the right thing, you would have paid him back his $2,600, and you would have had a down payment, and you would have been paying off the car.
So there was no agreement for me to pay the $2,600. It was to pay him back with my stimulus of only $1,400.
Well, I've read this here, and you know what I get out of these text messages back and forth? Something that people who are takers do all the time. They justify taking because you say, you're just so blank petty. You make more than enough, and I'm making $500 a week. I have real life problems. So you're saying that the money isn't really that important to you, and it's that important to me, and I have a child to take care of, and you don't. You make $500. You live alone, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you live alone. You were a good sucker for a while, and now I'm not giving you back the money. I'm cutting you off. Did you change? Yes.
He continued to cash app her after the $2,600.
Up here.
After June 15th, when he sent her the $2,600, he sends her unsolicited another $700 dating all the way to August 11th.
Well, that's terrific. Isn't he a nice person? She's been your best friend for 17 years.
18, yes, ma'am.
18 years. Do you work?
I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I work in healthcare.
You make a living?
I do.
You have a car?
I do.
You have a home?
I do.
Right. Why didn't you give her money?
I was in the middle of a divorce and we were selling our home.
So the answer is you had other things. You work, that's two sources of income of her best friend for 18 years. And she could have come to you. And
She did,
just
and I gave her money.
Okay, well, she seems to be, you can sit down. She seems to be a taker. And if he gave her more money, even after this $2,600, he's not asking for that money back.
He also told me to keep the stimulus check to pay the car.
Oh, I'd like to
Yes.
see it. Not that it's important.
No, it is. He
Because
told me
I'm
to keep it.
Just a second, because I'm not. You didn't get another stimulus check.
No, I didn't get the stimulus.
No, you didn't get
That
another
was the only stipulation to paying him back was with that.
No. No.
Yes. He was tracking my iPhone. He was constantly blowing up my phone. He became a weirdo. He sent me an email.
Madam, I have to tell you something. It takes a weirdo to know a weirdo.
Stuart Zelmond has accused his former friend, Elena Smith, of refusing to pay back a car loan. Elena claims the car was a gift after she was released from prison.
He was being a really nice guy. I sent you money so you and your daughter can do some stuff, like you can get some of your precious Papa John's. Seems like a nice guy.
She never asked for any of it. She even had him
Just a
blocked
second.
during that.
She spent it.
Yeah.
Just a second. She spent it. Do you know, there are times when I remember both myself and other family members erroneously received money. I don't know if it ever happened to you. Okay. Erroneously, a deposit comes into your checking account. You don't know where it comes from. Well, somebody put it in there mistakenly, right?
This wasn't mistaken.
Just a second. Same theory, madam. Somebody put it in there mistakenly. Well, you can either report it to the bank and say, I don't want any more of this money. It feels uncomfortable to me. Or you can say, listen, I'm going to hold this in my account and see if they come after it, see how long it takes them to find it, right? Or you can do the honest thing, you pick up the phone and you call and say, this money doesn't belong to me and I'm not going to spend it. Similarly, even though the money was unsolicited, your friend was a user. Your friend was a user. She started out by saying, people use these online websites for prisoners because they want stuff. Is that what she said in the beginning?
I also said I took myself off of it. I didn't put myself on it.
Just a second. Whether you did or did not, I don't know, but you certainly benefited from it.
How?
You took his money.
Was she-
Somebody that you met, you took, according to now you, who you said $50 twice is what he sent. Now your friend says, oh no.
This is
Oh no,
after.
I know exactly what you said, madam. I know exactly what you said. You said, no, that was after the $2,600. But for somebody who says, I wouldn't want to be in that site because other people were using that site to get people to give them things, and I took myself off that site, well, there's no further reason for you to stay on the site. You had your sucker.
No.
No. This is
Hold on.
after she came out of jail.
It took 3 years. 3 years for me to ask him for anything. So if I was going to use him, it would have been the entire time. I stopped having communication with him because he was tracking my iPhone. He was constantly blowing up my phone. He wanted to have me do inappropriate sexual things to him. He became a weirdo. He sent me an email.
Madam, I have to tell you something. It takes one to know one. It takes a weirdo to know a weirdo.
No.
If you're in prison,
No.
to me,
No.
maybe not to
with
you.
the things that he asked.
Sit. If you're in prison, a woman in prison, you said the women in prison go on this line so that people, weirdos. I mean, I have a very large family, really large extended family. I don't know one guy that cold turkey goes on a prison website to get a pen pal. I don't know. I'm sure that there are people that do that, but the people that do that are sort of the same people in my mind, and I know it's an old mind, are the same sort of people that have themselves shot out of a cannon or will jump off a 9th-story building with a parachute and see if it works. A little bit crazy. A little bit. You know, right? Even when you marry somebody who's doing a life term in prison, I think it's sort of an interesting story. I wouldn't recommend it for my granddaughter. So the fact that you did a substantial stint in prison, leaving a small daughter who was taken care of by whom?
Her father.
By her father. Still taken care of by her father?
Yeah.
So you have a place in your life that's sad that she's not with you, but it gives you the ability to create a life for yourself because you're free. So you can create a life for yourself. This man says, I was a very nice man. I made you more comfortable while you were in jail, a little more comfortable, and when you got out of jail, I also sent you money. Now, if you're telling me, and your friend is suggesting that he wanted some sort of a quirky quid pro quo, that's a reason to cut him off. It's not a reason not to pay him back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,600. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
But we were just friends, you know. She just said a lot of things that weren't true. Like, I never asked anything from her, and I mean,
I thought he was lonely. He goes on vacations by himself. He has no friends.
I didn't keep cashing her after I was blocked and stuff, so.
Thought he wanted a friend, and he was trying to buy my friendship, obviously.
No reason, yeah, she's just making stuff up, no. Character assassination.
Right after my release from prison.
Be careful you loan money to.
Don't get a pen pal.
No more prison pen pals.
So this is something they don't teach in law school.
I'm ready.
If something doesn't make sense to an otherwise sensible person, you have to know there's a gimmick attached to it. You know, if something walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yep.
Now it may be a mongoose, but if you'd be pretty safe in saying, you know, walks like a duck, talks like a duck. So it's not a duck, it's a mongoose. But if you come from a relatively simple background and you know a lot of people, and you don't know anybody who's pen pals with a prisoner. There are a lot of people, because there are lonely people. People in prison are lonely. And there are sometimes lonely women who start to communicate, even just from a sympathetic Good Samaritan kind of coming from that direction. People should know that if a stranger is giving you money under those circumstances, there's got to be a catch there someplace.
I mean, I know my brain stems from your brain, so maybe we're just on the same track here, but I would never accept money from someone who's seemingly just giving it to me because. There's always a string, there's always an attachment, even from people that you know. But definitely with strangers, there's strings. Otherwise, why are they giving you the money in the first place?
Right.
I think she knew what
Potentially-
she was doing, and even if she didn't sign herself up, even if we take her at her word on that, she knew what the people on that site were about.
Oh, well, she was very clear.
Yep.
She knew that people in prison were going to be entitled to get stimulus checks, but they were to be directed to the prison because the prison would take out 75% of those checks, which would cover your care. The
So instead-
government's still taking care of
Yeah.
you, but they're not taking care of you twice.
Yeah, so basically the government is paying twice for you.
And so in order not to do that, she concocted this scheme.
Found someone who would be okay with the
But
other
sending
end.
it to them. And I'm sure that didn't come to her genius head alone. Somebody in prison said, this is what you do in order not to keep the 75%. If somebody else do it, your girlfriend, your sister, your mother, whoever.
Robert Ritter is suing homeowners Jeff McNally and Angela Klingenberg for property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2164, Ritter versus McNally Klingenberg.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Ritter, you own a piece of property,
That is correct, Your Honor.
and it's a residential piece of property,
That is correct.
and you use it as a business.
That is correct.
I would assume that this is your tenant.
That is correct.
Perfect. Could you stand up next to Mr. Ritter? What is your last name?
Mason?
Mason. These are your neighbors across the street?
Yes.
I live side by side.
So you're side by side, not across the street?
I live across the street.
Now, there came a time, Miss Mason, that you heard something that was unusual. Can you describe what you saw?
I was startled by the sound of a big thud and my dog freaking out and ran to the window. And so I jumped up, ran to the window where the dog as well was running toward, and looked out the window and seen the truck that had just hit the air conditioning unit.
Can you describe the truck?
A white truck pickup?
Had you seen that car before?
Yes, in the driveway next door to me.
So in his driveway?
Yes,
Did you see who was driving the truck?
I did.
Was it Mr. McNally?
It was not.
Who was it?
The young lady beside him, friend
Miss
across the street.
Klingenberg.
Yes.
When you looked outside, what did you see the truck do next?
As I looked out the window and made eye contact, I seen...
With her?
Yes, I seen Jeff at the back end of the truck, right by the AC unit, kind of backing her off a little bit, kind of gave her a raised hand.
So he was out there as well?
Yes, positioned behind the truck.
What did you do?
Well, I jumped up and then I ran and actually grabbed my phone to take pictures because I did not want to be responsible for what had just happened to the air conditioning unit. As I could tell, it had been moved and hit.
Do you have those photographs?
I did send those to Bob. He has pictures of those.
Kevin?
Yes.
Want to get them?
I immediately texted Bob as well, letting him know.
So that day, the
Yeah.
20th of August, you went, took photographs of the truck?
Yes, ma'am, and the yard and the air conditioning unit.
Okay. Mr. McNally,
Yes, Your Honor.
where had you been camping?
We were camping in a place called McCall, Idaho.
Aside from you and Miss Klingenberg, who were there?
My son.
See how easy this is? It's going to get easier. Do you understand? Okay. Now, is this your girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. Now we got that clear. This is your girlfriend. You and your girlfriend were camping. Your son was with you. And what you were doing that day was you were trying to unload the truck with the camping gear, correct?
Correct.
Is the camping gear heavy?
Yes.
So somebody was driving the truck and somebody was schlepping the stuff out of the truck to put it away, right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. McNally, you don't want me to believe that either you or stand up, or this guy were just twiddling your thumbs and you backed up the truck so that you left Miss Klingenberg to empty the truck, right? You don't want me to believe that.
No.
Because that wouldn't be true, and that would be foolish, and that would make you certainly unchivalrous, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So when you were first confronted with this, you said, oh, my girlfriend wasn't driving. right?
Right.
So let's get it straight now, because that's what you wrote here in your answer. Oh, my girlfriend wasn't driving, my son was driving. That's not true. I don't know why you would choose to say my son was driving, not my girlfriend, unless she doesn't have a driver's license, because otherwise there'd be no difference whether your truck was being driven by you or your son or your girlfriend. Do you understand? No difference. Your truck being driven with you around hit his air conditioning unit. So what difference does it make? You have a driver's license?
I do not.
There you go. Perfect.
I was not driving, Your Honor.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. You were driving, and he says you were. You see, and he says you, just a second. You didn't see his face just now. He says you were. Now, how did I know you didn't have a driver's license? Do you have a driver's license?
Yes.
Yes. But how did I know you didn't? Where do you think I got that from? I got that from common sense, because Mr. McNally doesn't look like a stupid man. And there would be really no difference if he drove the car, you drove the car, the son drove the car, his car caused damage. But in order to perhaps have insurance cover it, if he had insurance on the truck, do you?
My insurance had actually lapsed.
What? Okay, so it really didn't make any difference. If you had no insurance, you could have said she was driving. But didn't think that far. Okay, so that's why we're here. We're here because you let an unlicensed driver drive your truck that was uninsured that you took on a camping trip. Is this coming together for me?
It's close.
So now we got that straight, right? The next thing we have to take care of are the damages. I see that the outer part of this air conditioning unit was definitely hit. Now, the outside is merely a cover. So I need some evidence that this damage that he caused while she was driving damaged the mechanism of the air conditioner, because you replaced the unit and you want him to be responsible for the unit, right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
I have to see a photograph, because I don't have this photograph of the inside of this. I just have the photograph of the cover.
I do not have the inside, but I do have from 2 HVAC companies that did go out to service it. One that did the replacement, the other that came out second opinion, as Jeff had asked us to do, which we did.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
This will be the second, and this is the actual invoice for payment.
Oh, this is the second opinion. This says, second opinion call, 4-year-old Goodman air conditioning unit has been backed into. The unit has permanent damage to the condenser coil. Well, that's the unit itself. That's just not the lipstick on it. That's the guts of it. This says immediate repair, replace condenser coil and damaged panels, $39.61.
Correct.
Replacing the unit instead may be an option to consider. And to do the whole job, what did he want, $5,000?
The other side, $34.50 to replace the identical unit.
Okay, and to repair.
It was less money to replace it.
than to repair.
Correct.
Okay. Do you understand that now?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Your
So,
Honor.
based upon your request, he got a second opinion. Second opinion was for more money to repair. He chose the lesser of the two, which is to replace the unit. The ball is in your court, sir.
Garrett was actually driving.
I don't believe it. You've had some time to reprocess it all. You would have had the boy, that's what you raised them for, strong boys. You wouldn't have said, well, you just sit in the car while my girlfriend unloads it. Take the hair out of your eyes so I can see your eyes. Perfect.
And later today,
I want to know how much you received from the insurance company.
$874.53.
Then can you tell me, I had a check from the insurance company, which was a little over $1,300 from their appraisal.
No, that's incorrect.
Well, that's what you wrote, madam. That's your signature, that's what you wrote.
Robert Ritter claims homeowners Jeff McNally and Angela Klingenberg owe for property damage after hitting his air conditioner.
Your car, uninsured as it was, driven by your girlfriend, damaged his property. Why don't you think that you're responsible for it.
We don't believe we hit it.
The damage is on your truck, sir. There's a picture of your truck here. You want to see it? Or you don't have to see it. You'd be better off just saying, you know what? I don't have the money. You'd be better off just saying, because we started out wrong, you and I, Mr. McNally. And the wrong started off was claimed his son was driving, even though Regina clearly saw his girlfriend. Okay, so that was a fib here.
Actually, Your Honor, if I may, there was just one front seat, a bench seat, and she was sitting in the middle, and Garrett was actually driving.
I don't believe it, sir. You've had some time to reprocess it all. That's not true. She was driving, because if you were unloading the truck, you would have had the boy. That's what you raised them for, strong boys. You wouldn't have said, well, you just sit in the car while my girlfriend unloads it. You wouldn't have said that. Put your hand down. Take the hair out of your eyes so I can see your eyes. Perfect. Thank you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,800. It's not a good idea, Mr. McNally, to show your son that it's the right thing to do, not to tell the truth. That's a very good lesson that parents should teach their children right from the get-go. And accepting responsibility for what was clearly an accident. I mean, she didn't mean to back into his air conditioner, right?
Right.
It happened. It was an accident. That's why they don't call it an on purpose. It was an accident. But once you have an accident, you have to accept responsibility. That's what you want to teach him. And if he lifts his hair, he'll be able to see and be able to hear better. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
We were all sitting in the front of the bench seat, so I was in the middle, and I think when she initially came out, she saw me sitting in the truck, but maybe she assumed I was sitting in the driver's seat, but I wasn't.
Nope, my vision was great that day. It did make me jump, and my dog was freaking out, so I definitely knew something hit the house.
I told him that my son and I were emptying firewood and that he may have hit his AC unit.
It's just sad, you know, that they had to do that and that the young man had to be involved when he really didn't do it.
That case was a great demonstration of how being well prepared and doing the right thing can make the justice system work for you in the right way. He had all of his evidence laid out exactly how he needed to present it to you, and he had the damage evidence, he had the photographs, and he did the right thing. He didn't try and get a whole new unit for the $5,000. He said, I'll get the 2 estimates if that's what you want me to do. So it just shows how being prepared and having all your ducks in a row can really benefit you when you come into a court system.
But my problem was telling the lie after you've sworn to tell the truth in front of his son, because those things remain embedded in your children. You want to be a good parent. The first thing you have to teach your children is to be honest. And if he sees that his father and the father's girlfriend are dishonest, that will become part of his fabric. That's a mistake. So,
I agree.
But I think you are correct that it was a good lesson in preparing a case that made it easier to try.
True.
Case 2171, Cosby versus Warren. All parties, please step forward.
Shalea Cosby is suing mechanic Kevin Warren for the repair cost of a car and lost wages.
Okay, Miss Cosby. According to your complaint, you parked your car near your home on a side street. You came out the next day and you found your car vandalized. Car was a 2017 Hyundai Elantra.
Correct.
Did you buy the car new or used?
Used.
And how much did you pay for the car?
I put a down payment of $1,350, I believe, $1,350.
So you financed the whole thing?
Yes.
And you have to have insurance on your car. You have to have liability, collision, all that other good stuff because you have a loan.
Right.
And you did have insurance. Now, came out, you looked at your car and it was vandalized. What was wrong with it?
The back window was shattered, and along the side passenger top quarter panel, back passenger door, and the passenger mirror, it was shot.
You have photographs of it?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Right here.
Okay. Did you notify your insurance company?
I did.
On what date?
The same exact date, which was July 22nd, is when I came out and found my car vandalized. I submitted a police report. I have that right here.
I'd like to take a look at it, please.
And
Okay, nothing with nothing. Okay, so you told the police about it on the 22nd.
Yes.
And when did you bring it in for the defendant to take a look at it?
That was August 18th.
She brought the car into you in August?
Yes.
And how long have you been in the auto repair business?
16 years.
So you've dealt with insurance adjusters before?
Yes.
And did you make the appointment for the insurance adjuster to come and look at the car?
They never came to look at it. Sometimes they just have me submit photos if they don't have anyone in the field to come look at the vehicle.
Okay. Now, when the plaintiff came in and brought you the car, did you have a discussion with her?
Yes, I did.
And I want you to tell me the best of your recollection, what she told you and what you told her.
Okay, like she said, she brought me the vehicle on August 19th. And she told me she took it from another shop. She had a problem with another shop getting the repairs done.
Tell me what kind of problem you had with another shop.
It was no problems with the other shops besides they didn't want to do the estimate on it and told me to talk to my insurance about it. And my insurance told me to find my own shop. And that's when I found it.
Just a second. Did your insurance company send you to the first shop that you went to?
Yes.
And for some reason, that first body shop was unsatisfactory to you. Mm-hmm. So you took it to the defendant. This is what the story is. The story is the defendant still has your car, right? Mm-hmm. And he's keeping your car because he says you didn't pay for the repairs. It's your position that you gave him the entire check from the insurance company. Is that your position? Speak. Be very careful what you tell me.
This is how her car looked when she brought it to me.
Oh, Miss Cosby, I have a feeling that you're not going to like the outcome of this.
Oh, no, I'm legit all the way around.
Oh,
so
really?
Those are the afterward
Just
pictures.
a second. Hustler.
Oh, it's not a hustler at all, man.
Absolutely a hustle.
Shalea Cosby claims mechanic Kevin Warren owes for the repair cost of a car and lost wages.
The insurance check went to you
Correct.
to cover the damage to the car.
Correct.
I'd like to see the check receipt that you received from the insurance company. Look, we're going to have trouble with each other, madam. Do you understand? This isn't the only check you got from the insurance company.
If you're talking about a check in 2020, that has no relevance to 2022 vandalism check.
I want to know how much you received from the insurance company.
$874.53.
Then can you tell me, I had a check from the insurance company, which was a little over $1,300 from their appraisal.
No, that's incorrect.
Well, that's what you wrote, madam. That's what you wrote. That's your signature, that's what you wrote.
I see the paper. The totaling was $1,374.53. I didn't receive a full $1,374.53 check from my insurance. I received $874.53 and had to pay my deductible of $500.
When you brought your car into Mr. Warren, tell me what the conversation was.
Before I got to him, I let him know what was going on, what I was going through.
No, not let him know. I asked you what you said to him and what he said to you. First of all, you didn't like the first place that the insurance company sent you to. I don't know why. All I know is when you're dealing with this kind of thing, everybody's trying to make a little bit extra. And it's been my experience, and maybe I'm wrong, that when you have a little accident, you take your car into a body shop. Very often, if that's their business, they say, this is what you want fixed, this is what the damage was. And the person who runs the body shop or the owner of the body shop will say to you, I'll take whatever the insurance is, I'll work with the adjuster. Mm-hmm. That's what they usually do. Correct, sir?
Yes.
Yes. And in this case, is that what happened?
No.
Is what I'm asking you, because your complaint is that he has your car, won't give it back because he's put a mechanic's lien on it because he says that he did $6,000 worth of work on the car.
He did work that was not approved by me nor my insurance.
I'm just telling you, that's what he says. He did $6,000 worth of work on the car.
Okay.
Okay? But I have to tell you, Mr. Warren, that has been my experience, and I'm very old, that when you take a car in that's been in an accident, they say, you know what, I'll work with your insurance company. And we all know what that means. That means that whatever your insurance company gives you, they'll send me the check. That will be what I'm going to accept for the work. Now, what you're suggesting is that she authorized you to do $6,000 worth of work, and you didn't speak to the insurance company.
I spoke with them plenty of times.
Oh, what did they tell you that they were sending her?
I have it here.
I'd like to see it.
I have 3 estimates here.
No, I want to see from the insurance company.
They're the insurance company estimates, not mine.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, here's the first one. Like she said, when she first brought her car to me, she had this one already for $873. Okay, so then what we do when we see more damage, we put what you call a supplement in. So I put a supplement in, and that's when they told me she has 2 claims. She has a claim for the auto body damage and a claim for the vandalism. The $874 is for the vandalism. If you look at these other 2 estimates, it's a totally different claim number.
May I see it, please?
That she put the claim in for. So these other 2 are for the auto body portion.
Not for the vandalism.
No, it's 2 different claims.
When she brought you the car, was there body damage on the car?
Absolutely. This is how the car looked when she brought this to me.
I'm not just talking about that. Can I see, please?
This is how her car looked when she brought it to me.
Oh, Miss Cosby, I have a feeling that you're not going to like the outcome of this.
Oh, no, I'm legit all the way around.
Oh,
so
really?
And those are the afterward
Just
pictures.
a second. Just a second. This car was in a bad accident.
Yes, correct.
This car was in a bad accident. Hey, this car was in a bad accident shortly after you got it.
Correct.
Right. And you got a check from the insurance company to fix this.
Correct.
How much was the check that you got from the insurance company to fix this?
The total in amount, I'm not sure, but I think it was like 2001 or 2002.
And you didn't have it fixed.
No one wanted to fix it.
Well, he fixed it. Just a second. Hey, Miss Cosby, he fixed it.
Without my approval.
What did you do with the $2,000?
Oh, I paid my own personal bills because no one wanted to fix the car, so I have to keep living.
Your case is dismissed.
Okay.
How's that?
That's
Your
fine.
case. Hustler.
Oh, it's not a hustler at all, man.
Hustler. Absolutely, absolutely a hustle. I actually think you're a hustler. That's why I'm not helping you.
That's fine.
Because you had an accident in 2020, you got a check from the insurance company to fix it. I don't know how much that check was because you don't have a copy of that check. You brought the car into him and said, now I have a broken back window. I have a feeling, and I know it's only a feeling, but this is my program so I can vent that feeling, that you went to the first place to fix the car and you said to them, I want you to fix the front and the back, and they said no. That was for something else. You already got paid for that.
Incorrect.
So you went to him.
Estimate altogether.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
You don't have to.
I don't. Well, I don't. I don't.
have to.
That's why your case is dismissed.
That's fine.
Now I'm getting to your counterclaim. Because you put a mechanic's lien on the car?
Yes, I have it here.
Great. So you've got a mechanic's lien on it. She can't sell it. I'm not giving it back to her. I'm not ordering it back to her. You have the car?
Yes.
Sell it.
I need that signature on that paper to be able to do so.
It doesn't matter.
From whom?
From her. Or you can sign it just to say.
Oh, I can't.
To turn over.
Oh.
That says she has no more interest in the car.
I can't. She does have an interest. The car's got a lien on it, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay? You're going to have to pay off this note. Do you understand? I don't think you're going to be able to get the money after you pay off the note. But you fixed the car.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're entitled to money for fixing the car on your counterclaim. She's going to pay on your counterclaim because I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to get any money on this car. I don't know what's going to happen with this car. I'm just not returning it to her. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to make you as close to whole as you can be because I think what happened to you was a hustle. That's what I think. Usually I don't side with mechanics. It's just been my experience. But I think that...
I'm glad you changed today.
I think that this is a hustle. $3,800, judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim. Thank you very much. We're done.
Adjourned.
Oh, I appreciate her decision. I believe she ruled the right decision because I brought all my paperwork and it wasn't no other way to rule it. Well, she said she wanted me to help her get her car fixed and that she was gonna get the insurance and pay me like she was supposed to do, but I guess once she got the money, she changed her mind. All mechanics aren't bad.
That was a surprise.
That was.
For me.
Did not think it was going to go that way when we reviewed it
When
earlier.
we talked about it, I looked at it. When we spoke about it, I said, you know, sort of using my life's history. Take the car in, don't worry, I'll work with the insurance company, does a little bit more work. The insurance company sends a check for a little less. But he wasn't at fault. She was the hustler.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to make an extra quick buck like a lot of mechanics that we've seen. He did the work.
He did the work. Because she didn't bring the car in there just for the back windshield.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hustle.
It seemed that way. As soon as somebody says, oh, that thing from then has nothing to do with why we're here now, immediate red flag.
Bing, bing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad that worked out. And
me too. I'm glad you gave him the money.
Maude Gedlin is suing her great-granddaughter, Angelina Marshall, and her daughter, Angela Norrie, for writing fraudulent checks.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2169, Gatlin versus Marshall Nuri.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gatlin,
Right here.
who's Marshall? This is your grandmother,
Great-grandmother.
great-grandmother.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you have a seat for a moment? Yes.
Thank you.
And this is
My great-aunt.
your first name is Angelina?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you said that this was your great-aunt.
No, she's my great-grandmother, and then the other lady is my great-aunt.
No. Who is the plaintiff?
My great-grandmother.
Oh, that's what it says in the complaint. I didn't understand it when you said that was my great-aunt.
Sorry.
Okay. How old are you today?
I'm 18.
When did you turn 18?
September 24th.
Prior to your turning 18, you had a job?
Yes.
Doing what?
Being a food associate worker.
How long were you working there?
I was there for 5 months.
And how much were you making an hour?
$17.
Who were you living with?
My grandmother.
And Miss Gatlin, is Miss Nuri your daughter?
Yes, she's my oldest daughter, yes.
That's what I thought. Because you were working, you wanted to start a bank account.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
And you asked your great-grandmother whether she could help you do that because you needed a cosigner.
No, she actually offered if.
Okay, well, tell me about it.
Well, I was helping her move some stuff into our apartment, and then.
You were helping her with?
I was helping her move some of her stuff into our apartment because at the current time she needed to live with us, and I was helping her out.
Your great-grandmother was going to be living with you?
Yes.
And what month was that?
June.
June of?
2022.
So you were helping her move some of the things into your house?
Yes.
And?
And, well, we were at the bank because she wanted to withdraw some money for, well, I don't really know what she was doing, but I was just riding around with her.
You a working lady, or were you?
Yes, I do work, Your Honor.
For whom?
I work for Securitex.
And that's where you deposit your paychecks?
Yes, my paychecks are directly deposited. That is correct.
Okay, so now you're traveling with your great-grandmother around, and she had to go in and make a deposit or a withdrawal.
Yes.
And?
Well, I was sitting there waiting for her to finish. And, well, while we were waiting for a teller to open up for her before she went outside, she asked me if I would like to open a savings account. And, well, I really didn't need one, but I was like, yeah, sure, so I can at least have my checks go somewhere.
But what were you doing with your checks before that?
I would just take them to the bank.
Was that what the bank that they were drawn on?
Yes.
Okay, so you were taking them to the bank that they were drawn on to cash. Okay, but this was a more convenient bank?
Yes. She said it would help me with my credit, so I'm like, yeah, sure, since she wants to help out.
Okay, so you had some paychecks that you were putting in there?
Yes.
Those are not the checks that are at issue. How long did you put your paychecks into the bank? That was now a joint savings account with you and your great-grandmother, starting in June. Excuse me, what? Was that the
It
wrong?
actually started in May, Your Honor.
May of 2022.
Yes, and to go back a little bit, Angelina, yes, I was living with my oldest daughter. Angelina came to me one night and she said, Granny, she said, can you help me open a bank account? And I said, well, we'll see. So she happened to be with me that particular day when I went to take care of transaction. And I said, hey, let's see if we can open your account that you asked me about. And the young lady asked her how old she was. She said 17. She said, well, unfortunately, you can't open an account. She said, but you
would have to need a co-signer.
Yeah, she said, Miss Gatlin, she said, since you've been banking with us for a while, Angelina can open up a junior account on your account. So I said, oh, okay.
Great. So it was opened in May?
It was open May.
Great.
May 11th.
And you put your paychecks in there?
Yes.
And you withdrew from your paychecks what you needed to live?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Yes, Your Honor.
But then there came some checks that you weren't quite sure of how they originated. They were not your paychecks. What checks were those?
They were some checks that a family member gave to me.
No, not a family member. Not a family member. Your father gave to you.
Yes.
When did your father give you these checks?
I'm gonna say maybe July. I'm not too sure.
When did you see your father?
Well, he's in and out of our lives a lot. We never really talked to him when he was around, but maybe about...
No, look at me and tell me how it is that your father gave you checks, which turned out to be bad, to put in your account, your bank account.
Well, he was just trying to help out with
No,
bills.
not just trying to help out. I want you to tell me where you received the checks, what he said to you when he gave you the checks, and I assume he did not give you the checks all at one time.
No, he didn't.
Gave them to you intermittently.
Yes.
So tell me when he gave you the first check. Was that in July?
Yes.
Where was he?
We were at my house.
With?
My grandmother.
With your grandmother. She likes him?
Yes.
And what happened when he was at your house
Well,
in July?
Well, he came over to check up on us, the family, and he's like, Angelina, do you need some money? I said, yeah, Dad, to help out with the bills. He's like, okay, here, cash this, and like I didn't.
No.
Ask.
What happened when your grandmother told you that the checks were bad?
I was like, okay, I didn't know because I was trying to get into my account. I didn't know about it. I'm like, okay. She's like, are you gonna pay it so it won't come back on me? I'm like, yes, I will pay it.
You're talking very fast.
Maude Gatlin claims her 18-year-old great-granddaughter, Angelina Marshall, used her account to cash fraudulent checks.
Okay, now, according to you, your father's been in and out of prison.
Yes.
How long had he been out of prison when he came to the house?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know because he's honestly very in and out of jail a lot. So I don't really keep track of how many times he gets out and then.
Well, I'm just asking, when they came to your house in July, had he been in jail in June, in April?
April.
May?
April.
He'd been in jail in April. In May?
No, he was not in jail.
Where was he working?
He wasn't working anywhere.
He wasn't working in May?
No, he does his own thing.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that, good. Was he working in May? Was he working in June?
No.
When you say he was doing his own thing, this own thing that he was doing did not produce paychecks.
I don't get into my father's business, so I wouldn't.
So you took these checks. Do you have a copy of the check? Anybody have a copy of the first check from?
I only have one.
All four of them is there.
Well, first of all, I don't see any signature on here.
On the first one, there isn't. On the 3560, Your Honor, there isn't.
No, on 600, 1200.
There isn't any signature on any of them. It's just that she wrote her name on it and screenshot them into the account.
Now.
And I do have the breakdown. I'm sorry.
Just a second.
Okay.
I do have these checks starting to be deposited in August, one on the 11th, two written to you on the 16th, from a Suzanne, and they're made out to you, right?
Yes.
You're not a stupid person, right?
No.
I want you to tell me who Suzanne is.
I wouldn't know. I swear my dad just gave them to me and told me to cash them.
Well, Miss Marshall, you have checks that are made out to you from a person that you don't know, not from one of your work checks. It's made out to you. It's signed by somebody who you work for. It indicates the number of hours on the stub. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
This is written by somebody that you have no idea who it is. Now, a person with a modicum of intelligence that has an unsigned check would say, who is Suzanne? Are you telling me that you didn't ask that question?
No.
No. Now, when you signed the checks, because they had to be signed, right?
Yes.
Whose name did you sign?
My name.
Well, the checks are made out to you, which means you could have cashed them. Am I missing something? So her name was docu-signed on these checks, and she merely endorsed them? Is that what you're telling me?
Basically, what I'm seeing from what the bank told me, she put her name on it, put the amount that she wanted to withdraw, did a screenshot, and got the money.
Okay. Now, there did come a time when you found out that these checks were bad checks, right?
Yes.
And that they were going to hold your great-grandmother responsible for those checks because you already took out the cash and you spent it. All of it, not your pay. You may have taken out your pay too. I'm going to ask you a very serious question. Did you give your father any portion of checks that he gave you? Did he say to you, well, this is work that I did for this woman, so if you cash them, You can give me some and you can keep the rest. Think carefully before you answer my question.
No, Your Honor.
So he just said to you, take these blank checks, fill them in, and deposit them.
No, he's the one that filled them, and he just told me to say. I'm like, I looked at him. I'm like, Dad, are you sure? He's like, trust me, Lena, they're fine. I'm like,
well, why would you trust him? What does he go to jail for?
Way different stuff from the.
Sounds like a dreamboat. Well, so now I'm going to ask you. You took this money out, and what'd you do with it?
Paid bills, bought stuff I needed for my daughter.
Like what?
Diapers, clothes, shoes, saving just in case I needed some more stuff for her, but I really didn't save. Took her to places just to get her out the house, and, well, also.
Well, what happened when your grandmother told you that the checks were bad? Did she tell you at one time that all the checks were bad, or did she tell you over a series of times?
She told me twice. The first time was $400 something. I was like, okay, I didn't know because I was trying to get into my account. I didn't know about it. I'm like, okay. She's like, are you gonna pay it so it won't come back on me? I'm like, yes, I will pay it.
You're talking very fast.
Sorry.
I said to my grandmother, and my grandmother said to me, $400 is they're discounting because it was a bad check, and that must have been one of the first checks.
Yes.
And you said?
I told her I will pay it back once my next paycheck goes through.
You will pay back what?
The $400. I'm not exact how much it was, but I know it was 400, maybe 50 something.
So now you know that the checks that your father was giving you are bad.
Yes.
That's with only $400 in it. Because you said to her, well, I'll pay you back because you've been using that money to take care of you.
Yes.
In addition to the money that you're earning.
Yes.
You were using the money that your great-grandmother was earning to take care of you. So now you find out that the checks are bad, but your father gives you other checks. Did your father give you other checks?
No, not after everything happened. Because once everything started to happen.
No, when he gave you the $400 check and the $400 check was returned, and you said, I will replace it once I get to work. There is more than one check here. Mm-hmm. Why did you continue to deposit checks?
Well, when they all came back to me about, negative this, I was like, okay, what's going on? I checked and it said how the checks were bad. Again, I didn't know that they were bad, so when I saw it, I was like, okay, I had to find a way to pay it back so, my great-grandmother won't get mad and no one else will have to get involved.
Do you want to tell me how much you owe the bank?
Okay, Your Honor. I went to the bank on the 23rd.
No, just tell me how much you owe to the bank.
It's $3,600. That's what they did.
Okay.
At this time, I've been paying on it. At this time, it's $2,300 and some change. I'm sorry.
But you've been paying on it?
Yes, ma'am.
And it started at $3,600?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your great-granddaughter pay you any money towards it?
No, she did not.
Why not?
Well, I was going to pay it back, but then she had my Aunt Janae come into my house and take a lot of my electronics.
I would have said to myself, this doesn't look right. I don't know, or I have to ask my father, who's writing all these checks. Is she somebody he works for, or is it somebody whose checks he stole?
Maude Gatlin is accusing her 18-year-old great-granddaughter, Angelina Marshall, of cashing fraudulent checks with her account. Angelina claims her electronics were sold to pay for the debt.
Now, she took what electronics?
She took 3 of our TVs.
Now, you bought those TVs with this money?
No, all the stuff that she took was bought way before any of this happened. My PlayStation, my daughter's tablet, my Apple laptop, my daughter's laptop, 2 of my speakers, and 3 of our TVs.
And did she sell them, do you know?
From what I know she's probably sold a little bit of it. I'm not really sure.
Well, then I think that that's something you have to take up. You can take that up with your aunt.
And that's how we start putting some of the money into the bank of the $430. It was from some of the electronics.
Okay, so with regard to the $3,900, you paid off $400?
No, it was $3,600. And when I seen it that day, I looked on my phone, it was $3,000 and something. I went to the bank and asked them, what in the world is going on with my account?
No, I got exactly what happened and I've laid it out. After you sold the electronics that your daughter took
Yes, Janae.
that your daughter took from their house and you sold them. How much were you able to put in the bank with the sold electronics?
It was $430, and she didn't take it. She was told to take it.
I don't care whether she took it or not. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
$430.
And they deleted all of my different accounts that I had within my accounts of $103 and $107.53. I had other little accounts that.
Just a second, you owed $3,600.
Yes, that's what the bank
Just to say,
said.
the bank said, and you put back in to satisfy the bad checks $430.
Exactly.
So what's owed to you is $3,200, $3,270.
And then I put another $100 on it in December because of the fact the credit people came to me and told me if I don't put something
No.
in this account.
I just want to know what's left.
Okay.
What's left after the $430?
Okay. As of today.
3170.
3170. Thank you.
3,600 minus the 430.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay. As of today, it's $2,252.04.
I am going to make you whole.
Okay.
Not the money that you paid in yourself.
Okay.
What I want to know is how much money you paid in. Zero.
No, I did pay some in because of my paychecks that did go through at the time after everything happened because I did continue working.
No, these were bad checks. These were the bad checks. They're owed $3,600.
Yes, but I did put a little bit money in.
Well, how much?
Only one of my checks went in, which was probably not even worth $100.
Well, I'm not interested in it.
It was
Then I'm not interested in it.
$62 to be exact. Sorry.
I'm not interested in it. Virtually no money, with the exception of perhaps one paycheck, which amounted to about $100, was put in by you.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is whether I believe that, A, you knew or should have known that these were bad checks. And I think you're a pretty smart girl, given your father's history. He gives you these checks, 2 in one day, one's for $1,200, one's for $600, one's for $300. You say, Dad, where'd you get this money from? And if you're putting your money into the bank, your money from work, which is a very good thing, that's fine, but I'm going to save up that money. I'm not going to buy electronics. I'm not going to buy anything else for the house. What I'm going to do is save that money, or at least see what happens with it. So I would have said to myself, this doesn't look right. I don't know, or I have to ask my father, who's writing all these checks. She's somebody he works for, or is it somebody whose checks he stole? Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,170. Thank you very much. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
What they did to us was way worse than what I did to them.
It was very hurtful, and I'm still in the stress mode about it.
They took all of our electronics, our TVs, my PlayStation, laptops, and speakers.
The truth is, I have a video showing that my niece actually voluntarily gave me all the electronics to be taken care of. She said she was going to do it, and she wasn't going to do it, which is the reason why I took the items to have everything taken care of for my mom.
My thing is, the property that she took, we bought that a couple of years back. And that shouldn't have nothing to do with what's going on now.
We're not happy people. And, to be honest with you, because of the fact that they did our mother like this, we don't have anything to do with them.
Well, all I can say is she'll never see me or my child again. And that's generations going out of her life over some petty stuff that could have been dealt with easily.
I don't know if it can be solved. God will be that answer.
Don't do your family wrong, even as much as you love them, because they raised me with her since I was 4, and they still did me wrong growing up, and they still did me wrong today. You can't trust anyone in your family, but that doesn't mean don't do them wrong.
Because I never thought my family would do this to me.
Another great lesson in the dangers of co-signing anything for a car, for a dog, for a bank account, because I'm sure the great-grandmother plaintiff would not have accepted checks from her previous son-in-law, knowing his background and knowing, at least she would have asked the follow-up question. So I understand the daughter's position of, hey, I know what he's been involved in, I don't want to be involved, but if that's your stance, you can't benefit from taking checks that you know are probably dirty. So, and unfortunately, the grandmother didn't get a crash course from us on the dangers of co-signing on a bank account.
Because they can not only evidently go into your bank, that particular account, but they can attach any other account.
Like she had said, they drained all of her other accounts to fulfill the debt. So there's real dangers in co-signing.
Burke is suing her former friend, Freya Brown, for vandalizing her car and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2186, Burke versus Brown.
Thank you. Ms. Burke, I understand that you and the defendant met when you were both in foster care.
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
And how old were you, if I can ask you these questions, if you're uncomfortable, please let me know. How old were you when you went into foster care?
16, I believe.
Were you originally placed in group homes?
Yes, and through Orangewood Foundation, as well as transitional housing programs.
When did you start transitional housing from group homes?
I started that when I was 17. That was in 2021, where I was roommates with Freya, and we lived there.
Okay, and could you describe the facility where you were living?
We were living in Tustin, an apartment complex where they rent out the rooms and they have foster kids go in there and then they pay, well, they don't pay rent, but it's a transitional program to move up to the extended foster care transitional housing program for after you're 18. So it's better to be placed into this one, so it helps foundation towards the next one.
Towards total independence?
Yes.
And how long did you stay in that facility? Until when?
Like a few months after I turned 18, I got into the Costa Mesa transitional housing.
Okay, from Costa Mesa, do you go into any other facility through the foster care system, or are you then supposed to get a job and get on your own 2 feet?
So this program, the independent living program, it's really hard for foster kids to get into. You have to be set up with all the requirements, and so...
What kind of requirements? Are there academic requirements?
Yeah, academic requirements, working, going to school, meeting with the manager that comes in every week, yes.
Were you going to school?
Yes.
What school were you going to?
Golden West College.
Are you still going to school?
Yes, I currently am taking a break from this semester, but I'm still going to continue it.
Are you working?
Yes.
And you're living on your own?
I'm renting a room out in Irvine with 2 different roommates.
And Ms. Brown, what about you? How long have you been in the foster care system, and how old are you now?
I've been in the foster care system since I was 13 years old. I am currently 19.
Tell me where you're living.
Right now, I live in a rented room in a house also in Irvine.
Tell me what you're doing.
Right now, I work in sales. I'm a sales associate.
Is it a full-time job?
It's part-time. I'm also in school. I go to Fullerton College, and I'm a biology major.
Interesting. Are you good in science?
I really liked science in high school, so yeah.
Well, you seem like 2 absolutely delightful ladies. I don't know why you got into this kerfuffle, but each one of you claim that you were assaulted by the other. You claim that Ms. Brown caused vandalism to your car. Ms. Brown says that you had her falsely arrested after this altercation, which seems to be an unhappy event over a guy.
Over a guy.
I mean, they're necessary evils, but over a guy. So 2 lovely girls who probably weathered a lot of storms in your life to keep together that most 15, 16-year-olds don't have to do. How could 2 nice girls get into a kerfuffle over a guy?
I have no idea.
Go.
Okay, so on September 2nd, near 10 p.m., I was cooking us dinner, and Freya's sitting at the counter, and then while I'm cooking dinner, I get a call from my ex, and he's just...
From your ex-boyfriend, not ex-husband.
Oh, yes.
From your ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And his name is, what's his first name?
I would prefer...
Let's call him Cat.
Cat, yeah. So
you get a call from Cat. Do you know Cat?
Personally, no, I do not know him.
Have you ever met him?
No, I have not.
Okay. So now you get a call from Cat. And how long has he been your ex-boyfriend?
Well, we just had a situationship, like it was just off and on, but he just called me and I just had him on the phone as speaker, and...
So you had him on speakerphone, you're cooking her dinner, she's sitting at the counter.
Yeah, and he starts making flirtatious comments, like saying if I had any cute friends near around, and I know it doesn't sound right, but...
It doesn't sound good, Miss Burke.
Yeah, but that's just like, I know him, and that's like a different story, but regardless, then
So
Freya...
what was he... I want to know what he was saying.
Well,
you have to tell me, because she probably remembers what he was saying.
I do.
So if you don't remember, I'll ask her. What did he say?
He asked in general if I had any cute friends near me or any around. Just saying if there was any cute friends near me. So that he...
That's not what happened.
Okay, so your ex-boyfriend calls you and asks you if you have any cute friends around.
Yes.
And you didn't just hang up on him?
Well, yes. I told him, I said that I can't like see him tonight and that he shouldn't be saying that. But the call ended because he had to go because he had to go back to work. So it ended quick.
Wait just a second. He must have said something that annoyed her.
That was it. He just asked
What did he
if I
say?
had...
Okay. You don't remember. What did he say?
He called her, they were talking for a minute, and then she was saying, you know, oh, I miss you, this and that. And he was like, can I come over? At which point she told him, oh, I'm with my 2 friends. And he was like, oh, what do they look like? Are they cute? How old are they? Which I thought was disrespectful to me and also disrespectful to her. I was trying to be a good friend. I informed her of it. And
No. So he was acting like a guy.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
Think before you talk. There's no filter here. So he's saying, oh, really? You can't come over? You have 2 friends? Are they cute? Are they nice looking? And just to tell you, Miss Brown, I don't think it was disrespectful. I just think it's a stupid remark.
No,
Do you understand?
I understand,
It's
but
just stupid.
The tone and then the content, because it was on speaker, like I could hear everything, so.
So when he hung up, what did you say to her?
After they hung up, I didn't say anything to her. She said to me, she was like, you don't know him, you know, like we're in love.
And you said to her?
Basically saying, I don't know him. So I was like, yes, you're completely right, I don't know him, but I don't want to hang out with him, basically is what I told her.
Well, was he coming over?
No, I was just telling her, like.
And what's your version? After he hung up, let me hear your version of what she said.
Okay, so after I hung up, it was just practically some of what she said, but it was more in an aggressive way and with a lot of attitude. And
show me.
I get done with the phone and I'm cooking, and then she wants to like humble under her breath and like say like, I don't know, just rude things about the call and like just looking at me weird. And I'm like, what's the problem? And I was
Okay, so she's looking at you weird and you say, what's the problem? And she says,
I don't know, she was going off and about, and then she started throwing trash on my counter and then threw it at me.
Your Honor.
Yeah, you did.
That is not true.
No, I have to tell you something. So far, it makes sense. But then I don't want you to tell me she just went from nothing disrespect to throwing food around the counter. That didn't happen.
That did not.
Okay, so before she started throwing the trash on my counter, she was saying how that I had attitude, but I was telling her that I didn't have attitude. I was trying to de-escalate the situation by talking to her.
Attitude. So far, we're not attitude. So far, she's mumbling.
No, that's what
you
she
said
said.
under her breath.
Yeah, and then so she, I don't know, she would, like I said, it was a snap of a finger. Like, I'd never seen her switch like that. And, you know, I was confused. And then after she threw the trash, I told her to grab your stuff and get out of my house. And so I gave her time. She went in my room, grabbed her stuff. I waited by the door. I had it wide open. And she's just cursing and yelling and just like, I didn't want her in my house. And if I would have known she was like that.
No, let's not, don't go down any tributaries. When you got out to the car, she had a brick in her hand. Was there any damage to the car?
Yes, I have photos, proof to the left driver's side, and there's a video as well of the neighbor's Ring camera showing her vandalizing my car.
Okay, I'll see the video.
Autumn Burke claims her former friend, Freya Brown, owes for vandalism and an assault. Freya is countersuing for an assault and filing a false police report.
There's a piece that I'm missing from this story, but let's say they're following your timeline. It probably makes sense as you got into an argument. You said to her, you know, he's really not that way. He's really a nice guy, and I love him. And she said, well, somebody who really loves you doesn't say, I want to come over and hang out with your 2 good-looking friends. That could escalate into something that's angry.
Your Honor. Well, the thing is, when she did mention those things, they weren't calm as you expressed.
Yes,
they weren't. They were very aggressive.
They could have been aggressive, but that's... They were not. They could have been aggressive.
I didn't see a reason why it should have been that way at all.
Listen, I'm not saying I agree with you or not. But I'm saying that common sense dictates to me that if you're on the phone with somebody that you still like and that you're an on again, off again, and you can't come over today because I have 2 friends here. Oh, really? You have 2 friends? Maybe I'll come over and hang out with your 2 friends. She found that disrespectful. I actually find it disrespectful to you and disrespectful to him. You really have nothing to do with it, Miss Brown. Somebody else was being a schlemiel.
No, I mean, I wasn't saying like...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now you tell her to get out, open her things. She's out the door, and?
Well, no, she's not out the door yet. So then I have the door wide open. She comes, and then we're still like argumenting, and I'm trying to get her out of my house. She pushes me, and then I go back into. Yes, it is. I go back into the door, and then she starts hitting on my arm, like hitting me. So I'm like defending back, and it was just crazy. Like I didn't realize I had the door wide open for her to get out, like peacefully. And
okay, so
that
she
didn't
pushes
happen.
you, she puts her hands on you, you put your hands on her, pushing. And up until that point, there's a lot of maybe pushing, touching the arms, touching the hand, but nobody is injured. Is that a fair statement, standing at the door?
Well, I got assaulted because I have the pictures to show that my nail came off.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
Up until that time, did your nail come off during that time?
Yes.
Was it a real nail or a fake nail?
Both of my nails came off. Like it was
on the same finger, you had a fake nail over your
real nail, and it both ripped off.
Okay, I'll take a look. Okay, I see a black and blue mark here that's under here, right?
Yes.
And this is on your hand.
Yes.
What was this?
From blocking her hitting me.
What was she hitting you with?
Just her hands. Like she was just like a cat fight. Like she just went crazy, and so I was defending her out, trying to get her out of my house.
Okay. Did you respond to her hitting you?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have any photographs?
Yes, I do have.
I'd like to take a look. So I see a scratch above your eye and a little bruise on this part of your hand. Is that what it is?
Yes, on my wrist.
And then there's a bruise on, is it this part of your elbow?
My elbow, yes.
Okay, so now you're arguing with each other. You both get banged up a little bit. Now she's outside.
Yes.
And what did you do? You finally got her out the front door.
So after a few minutes, she called me and said, "Warning, I'm at your car." So when I heard that, I called the cops immediately, and I asked them to come down because I think she's gonna be vandalizing my car or God knows what. And then so when that happened, me and my witness, Jasmine, we walked down out of my house because I wanted to go see like if my car, like what was going on. And so as I'm walking out, my car's parked over here, Freya's over here. And so when I'm walking out, then I meet her right here, and she has a brick in her hand. And yeah, she had a brick in her hand the whole time until the cops came, and then they arrested her, and they asked me if I wanted to file for assault and vandalization, and I said yes.
Okay, and when you got out to the car, she had a brick in her hand. Was there any damage to the car?
Yes, I have photos, proof to the left driver's side, and there's a video as well of the neighbor's Ring camera showing her vandalizing my car.
Yeah,
Oh,
let me see the damage, and then I'll see the video.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'll see the video.
Okay.
Okie dokie. That's where you were arrested, Miss Brown?
Yes.
Have you ever seen that video before?
I have not.
You have not?
No.
Okay. Can I see the estimates to the damage to your
ma'am.
car? Tell me when you bought this car.
I bought this car on August 1st in 2022. It was my first car. I paid for it full, all by myself.
You paid for it in cash?
Yes, and a check.
Okay. How long had you been saving for the car?
Oh, I've been saving for it for years. like a few years, ever since I've been working.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid a total of, I believe, $7,300 and something dollars.
Okay, so the estimate to fix the car is $3,777.
Yes, ma'am.
And the next thing is the price of the vehicle, for which you paid $73.50.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Brown, one would say to you as a result of seeing that video, temper, 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 you may have a temper, you can't do what you did. Would you acknowledge that you can't do what you did?
Yes, I acknowledge.
Great. So that means that you have to take care of this problem.
She hit me first, Your Honor.
And we're not talking about hitting.
I understand.
I'm talking about vandalizing a car. She says the weapon was a knife.
It was.
And the knife was being held by you.
Yes, that's
So you
self-defense.
took, no, it's not in self-defense anymore, madam. It's not self-defense, she's out. She's away from you.
Autumn Burke has accused her former friend, Freya Brown, of vandalism and assault. Freya claims Autumn threatened her with a knife and filed a false police report.
Neither one of you were hospitalized as a result of this assault. You got a couple of black and blue marks. Two
She
girls
also
had a
threatened
fight,
me with a
and
knife.
that shouldn't have happened. But now the fight is de-escalated, and you went outside and purposely vandalized her car in a very, very aggressive way. And all I'm saying to you is, you understand that that was temper, temper, temper. You're not allowed to do that, and you have to pay for it.
She also threatened me with a knife.
She what?
I didn't.
Threatened me with a knife.
Just a second. I didn't see that when you were out there by yourself picking up a brick, right?
Yes.
And that was a long video. I don't see her in that video at all. I just see you picking up the brick, not doing enough damage, picking it up, doing a little more damage, picking it up, going to another side of the car, picking it up, going to the front of the car. I don't see her there threatening you.
She didn't threaten me at that point.
Right. Clearly, when you left the house, that ugly confrontation had been de-escalated.
It had not actually.
Of course it was, because you were out there by yourself. You could have gone. And if it was an ugly confrontation, you go to the police station and you say, I left my license in my friend's car. We had a fight. Could you come back with me on a standby and get my license instead of using a brick to bash in her car?
My circumstances were different from Autumn's. I would like to inform you of that.
What were your different circumstances?
Well, I was supposed to be moving in 3 days, which Autumn was aware of. So had I called the police and been like, oh, I need this help, then I would have jeopardized my housing.
Oh, no, that's not true. Sorry about that, Miss Brown. If you called the police and merely said to them, I don't want to have an argument with her, that would not have jeopardized your getting into housing. Having this fight and vandalizing her car, that could prevent you from getting into housing.
That's what got me kicked out.
I'm just telling you, calling the police is not an issue. Going outside and for a period of probably at least 60 seconds and moving from different parts of her car and hitting it with a brick and bending down and picking up the brick again, that would prevent you from getting into housing.
I wasn't referring to the calling the police, I meant the fighting.
Oh, I'm not talking about the fighting. $37.75, that's the cost of fixing the car. Now, the only other issue that you have on your counterclaim is for being falsely arrested.
Yes.
I would arrest you for that. You should be. Listen, if I came out of my house and found somebody bashing my property, I don't care if we had a long-standing feud. Well, I have a long-standing feud with her. We had an argument, we had a fight, whatever. That is not the natural progression of having an altercation with an old friend, going out and vandalizing her car. So your countersuit for being falsely arrested is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,775.
Your Honor, I'm going to be rightfully for losing my housing during that process because of that incident, because of the transitional housing program I was in. I got kicked out of it, and so I had 30 days. So I believe I should be getting for that as well because
Where's the head of the Department of Social Services to testify before me that the reason you lost your housing, if in fact you did lose your housing, was because of this vandalism? You have a witness here to tell me that?
I have the 30 days notice, if that counts.
May?
Yes.
I'll take a look.
Oh, here it is.
This says says, letters to give you written 30-day notice to move out of the transitional housing program. You were involved in a verbal physical altercation which involved a weapon with another individual and resulted in the police being called on September 1st, 2022. When you entered the program, you were informed and signed paperwork agreeing to our program rules and expectations. Who was it alleged that had the weapon?
She had a knife.
I brought it out self-defense. I dropped it right when I saw you.
Just a second.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I
Just
did.
a second. Well, just a second. She says the weapon was a knife.
It was.
And the knife was being held by you.
Yes, that's
So you
self-defense.
took. No, it's not in self-defense anymore, madam. It's not self-defense. She's out. She's away from you. Your choice is to call the police and wait. Your choice is not to pick up a knife, because so far this altercation has been a lot of tussling between girls that shouldn't have happened, but so far nothing involved a weapon. So you went outside with a knife, and according to the rules, you can't do that. And that was the reason that you lost your housing, because there's no other reason. It said it involved a weapon, and they listed the rules: drugs, alcohol, assault, danger, making threats. Well, you have a knife, that's threats, whatever. 3775. Fix your car. You're not allowed to do that to her car. That's a hissy fit. Figure out how to do it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You should have been arrested for vandalism. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I was in shock. I was like, wow, like over no reason, over my ex calling me, like, come on, like we're adults now. I'm gonna move on with my life and just go up from here and not down here where other people like to take me down to their level. I'm super thankful to have her handle my case today. She is a queen.
You know what I was really impressed with both of those girls, Sarah? You know, I know the foster care system, usually wherever it is, can be a brutal system to negotiate. And these two young women, at least on the surface, appear to have negotiated it in an orderly, reasonable way. I mean, she's living on her own. She evidently worked for a very long time because she saved up and bought her own car. That's a lot
big
of
deal.
response. That's a big deal. It's a
And
lot of
to even be able to figure out the system, which even as lawyers, sometimes we have a difficult time navigating things in the foster care system, to figure out this transitional program that better sets you up for the next step, that sets you up better for the next step. I respected that she took the time to figure out
both of them.
both.
Actually,
or
both.
their best possible options for navigating the system that they were placed in.
Both working.
Yes.
Both going to school to try to get themselves into a better circumstance. The defendant certainly is a biology major, which is fascinating
Not
to
our
me.
thing.
Not our
but
thing.
Great for her.
But clearly, bright young women who made it to a place at age 19 that's really terrific. And supportive of each other, because one had a license, one didn't, so they were supporting each other. All very lovely. And get into a kerfuffle over nothing.
It shows just how fast all that work and all that preparation for the next step and for the housing can just crumble.
Can just unravel. Really sad. That's sad. But they seem like two nice young women, and I think that they have a really